Mm-hmm. What should I send you? Mm-hmm. That's what I sent you. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Hello, everybody. We'll get started here in just a few moments. We're going to wait for some people to kind of fall in. So, welcome to the Lunch and Learn for April 25th, 2024, Thursday. So, like I said, we'll just give it a couple minutes for people to file in. We did have some pre-submitted questions, so hopefully some of those people can file in and we can take a look. So we'll get started here probably at around 12:08 maybe. Still waiting. We had a couple pre-submitted questions, so hopefully some of those people will start to uh, come on in so that we can talk about it. And if not, we can just do a little bit of learning and a little bit of luncheon. Give it, like I said, one more minute or so, and then we'll just start talking about some stuff that I think is fun or interesting. All right. Well, I guess it's 12:08. If some more people stumble in, we will look at their questions. But for now, and if you are in the lobby, we do have a user. Feel free to ask any kind of questions you have. But for now, I will just kind of start sharing some stuff so that people might reference this later and we can talk about some things. So, what I'll do is for the next couple minutes, I'll talk about some of the features that I think are powerful in decisions that might be underutilized. Decisions does a lot of things, and there's lots of features that kind of slip under the radar of even our most seasoned users. So, I one of the things that I've been kind of working on in my spare time is talking about how to make the information that you make in decisions more accessible and kind of removing some of the barriers to getting your end user to utilize your application or your use case. So one thing that I think is underutilized is integrating dashboards, forms, and things like that so that your end user can access them with the least amount of resistance to the information. So one of those, an applicable way is, let's say you have a dashboard. And on your dashboard, you want to be able to give this information to other users or reference it without having them need to log into decisions or create an account or find the dashboard in your folder tree or any of that kind of stuff. So a really cool tool that is not utilized super often is, let's say I have a dashboard. Here's a manager dashboard for a project. I want all this information to be shown in a way with the least amount of friction or resistance to get it for an end user. So you might be the developer within your decisions organization or within your organization for decisions, but you might want to send this information to someone else without having to export it or import it. And a really great way to do that is through this integration detail. So I have this manager dashboard right now. It does have permissions associated with it, but for what I'm about to show you, it doesn't necessarily matter. So what we're going to do is you can click on these dots and go to Manage and Integration and then View Integration Details. And what this will allow you to do is get a URL for your dashboard with some parameters that we can change so that we can get that information to the person who needs it. So say, again, that's a manager dashboard. You may not want your manager to have to log into decisions. You may not want your manager to have to navigate through your folder tree to find the dashboard. You might just want to be able to send them a link and they can click on it and it shows them the dashboard, or they can leave it as a bookmark or something along those lines. So with this integration details, you'll notice that the setup is login, right? And that's kind of what we want to work away from. We want to have it so the user does not have to log in, but so they can just access it through a link. So what we can do is we can change the setup to a guest, and that allows us for a guest login. And you may notice that the URL up here is actually changing. So guest equals true. Whereas on login, the URL changes. So guest. Another thing to reference is this Chrome. This is going to have to do with the kind of parented decisions information around the outside of your report. So for now, I'm going to leave it on none, but you can maybe notice that there are some identifiers on what the rest of these might do. So for now, I'm going to have it on none, and we'll take a look at this URL. And again, I can click Open URL, and you'll notice that they are given this report, but it's in a decisions instance through kind of a guest account. You could do this from an incognito window to see what that would look like as well. But let's say we want it to be even simpler, because again, we're trying to remove friction from the end user to getting to the information that they want to access. So what we can do is, I'm going to close this, and under this Chrome option, if I go to off, you'll notice that again, my URL has changed. It gives information about what we're going to be accessing. I can hit open URL, and it will give that information in a really streamlined way so that your end user is not navigating or using their intellectual horsepower to find the information in which they might need. So again, you can send this link to a manager and they can just look at the dashboard rather than having to log in to a decisions instance. So I think that's a underutilized tool we have here in the software. So again, and you can do some more formatting on here, but those options are there for you. And again, you can open this in an incognito window as a guest and it will not make you log in. Still nobody in here. Okay. So let's talk about some more stuff then, because we got a couple more minutes. And again, hopefully we'll have some people stumble in. I've talked about this in the past, but what I think is a really useful tool that I think is underutilized when I look at end users is just keeping yourself organized and formatting your flows in a way that anyone who looks at it can see what is going on or make some logical sense out of it. Because when you look at some of these flows, you might find that all of the blue dots, all of the unlabeled steps, it's hard to identify what each step is doing because, they might be unlabeled. Create data. What does that mean? Create request history. What does that mean? And obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but just for your information, you can always rename these steps. So you could say, create data for invalid claims. And you'll notice that on the flow that changes. And that's, again, a relatively low hanging fruit. But what some people may not recognize is that there are under um, step information, there are more advanced ways that you can organize this information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into step information and I can go to shape settings. And what I can do is for a lot of these steps, let's say I want to organize so I can look at this immediately and say, I want all of my create data steps to be yellow. Boom. And that's kind of ugly against white. So I'm going to change that because I don't like yellow on white. We'll go with something easy to read, a nice orange. Even that might be ugly on white too. No, that's much better. And you can do that for your create data step so that when someone looks at this process, they could say, oh, these must be correlative. Because if we chose a specific color over and over again, we can say, oh, these paths must have some correlative features. And I noticed that we do have more people filing in here. So I'll just finish kind of cleaning this up, maybe show you one more thing, and then we'll see if you have any questions. And if you are joining late, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or you can raise your hand and I can let you speak. But I'll show you one more thing that I think is just a cool, fun way to keep yourself organized is, let's say you have an assignment. Or you have something that needs to go to a specific user, or you want to kind of remove these just similar looking icons. Under these request history, again, let's say that hypothetically this is an assignment that I want to go to a particular person. Under shape settings, you can also change the image. So I can remove the image, or what I think is great, again, if you are doing assignments or something like that, you can from a URL, I'll have to make sure I have an image here. Something ideally it's not too embarrassing. Um, I know I've got a good one on here somewhere. Preview image. Ah, here we go. The perfect one. So you, say I wanted to assign that particular, and again, you have to be aware that this is going to take up some space. So there's some performance issues, but you could say, boom. So now I know that whenever I'm looking at this flow, that this task right here is something for Snoopy to do. So again, keeping yourself organized outside of just the generic color schemes of blue and green, those things can really help you keep your project um, readable because you can kind of create custom colors, custom icons so that when you are going through and looking at your project, you can realize, oh, these are probably pretty correlative. This needs to be done by a particular person, and so on and so forth. And again, that information is under your shape settings. So I think that is a fun, maybe underutilized uh, step within decisions. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I notice we are getting some more people in, or you can raise your hand and I can unlock it and maybe answer some specific questions from you. So please let me know if you have any specific questions, or if you're just joining just to listen in, that's fine as well. Answer them. Okay, great. So I guess we're not getting any questions in the chat from the users in here, but again, feel free to do so. But what I will do is just because we are going to upload this to YouTube, I will address some of the pre-submitted questions in hopes that we can kind of reference some of that for them. Um, if they can't make it to the meeting, we can still send them this recording. So we had two pre-submitted questions, and I will try my best to answer them right now. So the two pre-submitted questions we had, one was related to how to copy text um, directly from a column in a report placed on a dashboard. So without a lot of context, I'll kind of give you a little bit of an overview on it and maybe talk about the backside of it as well as a potential workaround. But you can figure out what workaround works best for you. So let's say I have a dashboard with a report on it, which I know I do in some project. Let's go here. Okay. So the way that I read the question is I want to select just a list of the request codes. I want to get just this information. But if I notice when I go to select, it selects based on rows rather than columns. And I think that's what I'm reading this question into. I want just this middle information. I did chat with people within the organization to talk about, hey, what are the options we have for that? And so the reporting within decisions is done on an HTML build. And with HTML reporting, you are given the option to give selections based on rows or based on columns, but not both. So we, as an organization, went with the latter, the selecting things based on rows rather than on columns. So there are a couple workarounds if that is something that you need. Uh, the easiest workaround, it's not going to be necessarily a super automated process, is to just download the report and pull that information from the CSV either in an Excel or Google Sheets or something like that and select it using that. But again, you have to do that import. Another alternative option would be to build out a flow that re requests the information from the report. You can then parse it down by the field and split that string with a new line and then report on it on a form. So again, it's a bit of an over design. But if you wanted something more automated on your dashboard, you could have a button that says run flow or copy flow. And on that form, you could build out, um, a fetching of the entities with a drop-down box that shows the fields and then the label that will be populated from the output of the fetch. And I'll maybe hold off on building that in case they come in late. I don't want to start the process and then they come in halfway through and then we start it over. I'll address the other question, and then if they don't come in, we can maybe look at building it. And the second question that we had was, how can I create a file in a folder other than my local downloads? Our decisions is on a server, and I don't want files there. I want to create a file in a folder other than see users, their name with no user interaction at all. Um, so I think that this is one of those things that's maybe an educational opportunity because you have to kind of think about the kind of relationship between server hosted and hosted on your local instance. The server is going to be kind of its own separate bubble. It's going to be a self-inclusive kind of instance where it doesn't really have any reference to your actual local computer. There's no communication, there's no hallways that connect those things. Um, there we go. There's no hallways that connect those things. So there's no reference. Your server side is not even going to know that your C user's account even exists. It's not going to be familiar with it at all. There are alternative options in which you can write around. And I know that with this particular use case, we do have a support ticket open and they're sending you a more detailed response. But an analogy I kind of thought of that maybe applicable is like, let's say you have a house on the West Coast and you have a house on the East Coast. The house on the West Coast is your server instance of uh, decisions, and your house on the East Coast is your local computer. And you want to move a trinket from the office on your West Coast into the bedroom of the house on your East Coast. There's no hallways that connect those. There's no shipping process that ships those. I guess there is a shipping process, but you'll have to go to the post office and configure all that. But there's no direct way to just move from the office of the house on your West Coast into the bedroom on your East Coast without going through a more detailed solution like going to the post office and actually shipping it out. So, um, Hopefully that brings some clarity to the, server versus client side hosting, but there's not going to be a way to automatically download from your local server into, or if not from your local server, download from your server hosted decisions into your local instance automatically without some type of processing or some type of um, extraneous solution like going to the post office for the analogy. Um, yeah, so that's what I have on that. Uh, Cool. So we're gonna, I guess because we have some time, we'll start to look at that copy solution from the previous question. So the copy question was related to how can we copy text from a column, right? And again, this is a little bit more of a workaround because again, just there's limitations of the HTML formatting in which this reporting is done. You're only given one option. You can either request columns, or sorry, you can only select columns or you can select rows, and we went with columns when designing this platform. So let's go through, and I did make a copy of a right here. And what we're going to do is we are going to um, make a flow on that dashboard so that we can ideally pull that information that's in a column and copy it. Let's see here. Oh, I do see we are getting more people. So if you have any anyone who's in here that just joined, I noticed we had a couple people join. If you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat or raise your hand, and we can help you out. Oh, there's one. Perfect. Thank you so much. Hey, Radley, I have you unmuted. So if you want to ask your question, we can take a look at it. Thank you.
Hey, hey, Robert. Um, so we've just implemented a email response workflow use case. Just curious, what's the best practice? What do you guys recommend for how often to run that email response job?
That is a good question. How often to run the email response job? Um, let's see. Let's see. We have a Jared in the chat who's got a little more best practice experience under his belt. Jared, what do you think on the frequency to run an email job?
I'm like, is there a what does the email job do? So the question, yeah, what does the email job do? Let's just start off with that.
It's the email response workflow, right? So we have
Hmm.
they click the button in the email and it completes the assignment. Um, so right now I'm trying to get a daily status of people who are on site doing certain things.
Hmm.
Um, and right now I have it set that it captures everything and then it sends out it runs once a day and then sends out a status email. What we're
Hmm.
finding is people aren't able to answer or respond to that email before that job runs. So the job runs, it says no, they're not on site or they're not available when they actually are, and then they respond later. It's kind of a mess at this point. So I want to run it maybe every, I don't know, 5, 10 minutes, maybe for just a few hours in the morning.
Hmm.
Just don't know if that's reasonable, acceptable, best practice.
Yeah, I mean, so that yeah, if it gets produces the result you're expecting, yeah, that'd be fine. There's no like hard expectation from that perspective in that regard. It's just more
Okay.
of if that's what you need to do and that works, that's great. If you get to a point where you have to like run like millions or like it's got to be scaled like to like really large amounts,
Right.
then okay, then because then I was gonna say then we have to talk about more of like, hey, maybe we put this on a messaging queue server so it queues up the work so it doesn't take up too much time. But no, there's no really limitations on the timing. As long as it fits your business need, then set it to the time that you need.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Jared. Thanks, Robert.
Yeah, thanks. No, thank you for the question. Oh, we got another question in the chat. Thank you. Um, hey, Joseph, I have you unmuted whenever you want to.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great.
Um, so I'm trying to embed another page in a decisions page, and I found the whole embed, like add an embedded page, but I don't want the whole thing to be the embedded page. I just want to,
Can you clarify what you mean you don't want the whole thing to be the embedded page?
I don't want the entire page like say it's Google,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I don't want the whole thing to be Google. I want normal other decisions items on the page, and then within a like a container, have the embedded section.
Okay, let's look at it. All right, so your page, what other elements besides the web do you want on the page? What are the other decisions elements, like a report kind of thing?
Yeah, it'd be more of just a dashboard. So
Okay.
there'd be a couple reports on there.
Let's just copy one that we kind of already have built out so we don't have to do um okay, cool. So I'm going to kind of copy this out and I'll do some formatting and see if we can find a solution for you.
Sure.
All right. So this is I'll kind of backtrack one time. This is this dashboard. I'm gonna make some steep edits to it, but just I'm referencing some of this information and we can kind of make some changes to some of this other stuff. But we'll change this page, push request page. So I have a big report here. I'm going to add a column on the right
Yeah,
side.
perfect.
Let's do a resize of one because I think that's what the previous one was. So they're equal. Nice. Okay. So we kind of consolidated that. I'm going to take this container, pinch it over. And what is the page control that you were utilizing or trying to utilize?
I don't have one.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
I've only found in a folder you can right click a folder, and instead of adding a page you can add a embedded page, but that's to the entire folder, uh, not a decisions page.
You're trying to integrate with just the decisions page? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, so in like this, what we're looking at in the empty space on the right, I would like in him to embed something.
Oh, in a control. Oh, I got you. So you still want it on a decisions dashboard, but you want to have something inside of it.
Yeah,
I see. The control you would want to use is you would want to mess around with a display HTML. That would allow you to put some URL inline. It doesn't have to be something that's on the decision system. This would be the step to try to do that. I'm not sure of the specific settings you have to do, but you can do like embedded
sure.
and things like that, and
All
stuff
right.
like that.
That's what I need. Appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's take a look and see. Let's see if we can finish building this out. And thank you, Jared. Up in there. So we're getting a button to open it. We don't want that necessarily. Because you want to view the actual.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Display HTML, source type. Because I haven't done this yet either, so I'm learning today too. We're launching and we're learning. All right. And I saw some people were raising their hands, so we will get to you in just a moment here. I don't even know if I saved that. Got too many folders here. Hey, at least we're close. We were closer than we were a moment ago. So yeah, you're going to want to use that inline option rather than dialogue. I think the dialogue is going to open a link or give you a link. What could I be missing here? What could I be missing? Hey Jared, do you have any insight? I'm sure it's something, and maybe it's this, but we'll test that in a moment. But when I loaded it over, it's giving us a 404 on the manager dashboard, or not 404, but a refusal to connect. Is there some type of permissioning issue we have to allow in and out?
Not sure. I think that's something we can definitely take offline and build an example. And Joseph, if you could put your email in the chat, we'll make sure that we have like a small example and we can send it to you, or clarify any additional settings you may need.
Sure.
Thank you, man. Yeah, thank you, Jess.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, cool, cool, cool. And I'll poke around for one more second and see if I can just do it. But if not, I'll give myself 120 seconds, 2 minutes. And again, I'm just kind of changing some settings here. Link name, open, inline. Let's see if there's any alternative steps up here. Nope. All right, we'll see if that, or at least what that relative to base sets up. Yeah, we're still refusing to connect. Okay. So yeah, like I said, I'll come up with I'll do some insight for you, and I can send you to that email.
Perfect. Thank you.
Display inline option. You can also use, oh, so thank you, VT. I know that you are always the best about it. You can also use embed tag and use it as an HTML source. So let's take a look at that. Why not? And VT, I always super appreciate you in here. You have always the best insights. I appreciate you, mucho. All right. Let's go back over to it. Purchase request page. And let's just try that solution because I'm learning, you're learning, we're learning. So he's saying to do, or they are saying to do embed, use embed tag and use it as an HTML source. Embed tag and use it as an HTML source. So I'm assuming that's a separate step. Hey, yeah, I'll let you talk, VT. Yeah, thank you. I know I'll let you go in there.
Hey, so it's the same step, but instead of the source type URL, you
Yes.
use something like static or
I mean, specify is close to static.
yeah, so in static HTML, if you can compose like embed link for Google,
Embed link for,
yeah, like a HTML tag.
give me 1 second. Okay. Um, we'll give this about 30 more seconds, just because I'm halfway through this. If we can't figure this out in the next 30 seconds or something, I'd like to go back and build the other solution as well. But VT, just so I'm not ignoring you, where are you saying to go to from here?
Yeah, in static HTML,
Hmm. And type in
it's
the HTML right there.
well, not the HTML, but you should be able to compose like tag. Um, if you can Google how to embed Google, something like
Okay,
that.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
so
take this
I'll
off.
take it
We'll take
offline.
it
Yeah,
offline
exactly.
and we'll mess with it. But thanks for the insight,
Yeah.
Vitaly.
All right, let's jump back over. You,
If
let's,
that does, if another option, if that doesn't work, you can use HTML tile and
okay,
use the flow to build HTML.
cool. Thank you. All right, so let's go back and do the. I'm trying to remember what we were even working on here.
Oh, Joseph, Bridge RM.
Yes.
Wow. Was it Sherry and Chandler?
Yes.
Yeah, you gotta let them know I say hi. They went through training a while back and they were amazing and I missed them. So let them know I say hi.
All right, I will.
Eh.
That's awesome.
All right, so we were doing a page. That's right. Okay, a page to copy linear text in a column. So I'm going to get rid of this up here, and we can So for those of you that just joined in or may missed out, we had a question from a pre-submit that didn't make it in the lobby, but we're still going to kind of talk about it so we can post it to YouTube. How to copy a column worth of text out of a report. Because of the HTML provisioning, we have it set up so that you can copy rows rather than columns. But if you need a solution, we're kind of doing a architected workaround here. So, Jared, I am correct in we're going to create a flow on the top right, or should we just run it through just straight up a form? Because we would
Uh,
need,
well, so what we're going to do is we're going to we're going to use a user action for the configuration folder. So let's go to the configuration folder of the purchase request. And this will allow us to be able to grab all of that cell value data in like a list, and then we can put that in a specific document. So go ahead, navigate to purchase request configuration folder. It's right there up at the
yep,
top of the screen. Yeah.
like,
Go ahead and click on that and go ahead and let's create a user action. And we're going to call this, what is it, text to copy or something? Yeah, I'll just say like, like text to copy, and then go ahead and create it. We don't have a template because
yeah,
we never
true.
created one of these before. So that's why we're going to have to click create. Once we go ahead and click create, the cool thing about this is now what we can do is we can utilize the run report step to run that specific report to get that data that we need. So, or let's see, can you go to, yeah, we'll have to do it that way. Never mind. So yeah, go ahead and pick that report for us on the right, Robert, and go ahead and select the purchase request report that you're using. Make sure it's the same one on the dashboard, because if it's not, then it's going to be really, really funky. Perfect. And then what we would do is you would then set this to data row so that we can interact with the specific piece of data. Now what we can do is now that we have the report information is now we need to display that on a form. So go ahead and create a form that just has a multi-line text, Robert, with a button that says with a button that says done on it. And what this form is going to be utilized for is this is the form that's going to allow us to say, hey, once we've manipulated that data and we show all of that information, we'll display that in a text view so that users can, Control A, Control C, and copy it, over it all. So that's going to be the intended thing here. Then you can say, this is the, the text information. This isn't where we'll copy. Just say it's text information. And I think there's also like a copy text control. Can you look for that in the search bar to the top left after you're done with that? Yeah, copy text button. So put that somewhere. Yep, and then you can say what's the source control. And then, yep, you see the text area, boom, it'll select it. So now that button's going to say, okay, cool. If that's clicked, then it's going to copy all the data that's in this text area. So go ahead, now that we got our information, go ahead and close and save this, or you can make this bigger if you want to expand it one more on the bottom. Yeah, there we go. Now close and save it so it covers most of the environment. Okay, cool. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and connect the done step to the end step over here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move the form to the right, and we're going to add a step in between the run report step and the form. And it's going to be called the join. It's a join strings, but it's going to be the one that allows us to join on special characters. The reason why we have to do this is because the text multi-line only takes in a single piece of text, but we have a list of text that we have to manipulate from the report since it outputs list of text information. So we're going to set the separator to a constant so we can actually specify what one we want, and we want to do it by a line break exactly. And then we're going to select from flow on the source because this is what's going to be coming from our report. So we have our report information. Go ahead and select all field one. We're just going to do example of the first column, and then because we have to do we have to do one more thing yet. We
Mhm.
can't just select all field one, even though it works. And the reason why is because it's cell value. We don't know what cell value is. What we need to do is we need to say we want to get the actual values of that. So scroll all the way down. There is all text value. That's what we want because that tells us, okay, cool. We'll get all of the text and then we'll combine it on a new line. So that's the one that we want. So go ahead and click done right there. Perfect. Now let's save this and then to put it to the test to see if it works, right? Or actually we have to select the input from here. I always forget that part. So select from flow, grab the join strings with special character, done. And then now you can close and save this. And then we can go back to that dashboard and right click and click the copy text. And I believe it should grab everything in the first row and then display that in the text thing, if I'm not mistaken. And then you can allow it to copy. So you have to go, no, you have to go into the dashboard. It's a user action, so it's going to
Okay,
display
okay.
on the dashboard.
Thank you. Cool.
Yeah. So just right click on the report viewer and you'll see that you have this action called copy something. Text to copy, boom, go ahead and run it. Let's see if it works. And then now, boom, you get all of that data and you
Wow.
can copy that button and then go ahead and open up Notepad, Robert, and see if you can paste that data there. Or if not, you can just Control A, Control C, and you can, grab that data that way. So that's how we would work through that to create some type of a way to make it easier for people just to like say, hey, I want to copy this text. You could make this more involved to where you can display all of the column names and then say, okay, I want to copy this column, this column, this column, and then the form does it in the background to make it more, really dynamic and pretty cool. But this is essentially the steps and information you would use.
Thanks, Jared. That was awesome. Cool. Joseph, are you re-raising your hand? Let's see. Are you re-raising your hand or is it still from earlier?
I put it down.
Oh, okay. Apologies. Yeah. Yeah, no, I should have probably put it, marked it or something. Cool. Yeah, thanks, Jared. That's awesome, man. I'm learning here too. Yeah, I tried building that. Boom. So yeah, custom user action in that dashboard. That's really cool. Does anybody got any other questions for me? All right. So I guess just so we can kind of get this video mixed down and send it to the people that had this pre-submitted question, then get their solution. I'm going to go ahead and end the session unless anyone's got one more thing for me. But I appreciate all you guys coming in and listening in. So thank you very much. Hopefully you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.